Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Living in the Extraordinary. This is typically a space that we reserve for members who have joined Living in the Extraordinary, who are going one-on-one, who've got an amazing community in there. But there's an opportunity to have a really special call. We have an amazing woman, someone I consider a dear friend, but a potent teacher, a potent way share, a potent person who's going to connect you to those messages within you, to that intimacy that exists. And so we're going to go into the secrets of an angel reader today, y'all. And we're going to take live Q&A so y'all can ask Kourtney questions. We're going to go deep into, y'all, really deep into how you can get really proficient about becoming an angel reader yourself, how to communicate with your angels. If you want to do it for yourself or for someone else, we're going to go through all of that today. It's going to be an amazing call. I wanted to invite for y'all also to keep your hearts open to just how a powerful communicator that you can be. And that translates into all areas of your life, period. But it's with that I can talk on forever right now. But it's with that, Kourtney, that I want to introduce you or welcome you to the Light platform and to, again, the invitation to the Bird community and being on Beyond the Ordinary.
Thank you. Thank you all for having. I love coming back here. There is something about this audience in particular. Y'all have a higher vibration, and I'm not speaking ill of anybody else, but I love getting to play in your energy. So I cannot wait to address your questions. I can't wait to share with you the secrets of an angel reader, the things that I've learned over the almost 2 decades of doing this, and it's stuff that I really feel like y'all are going to resonate with, and there is a hunger for this communication. Spirituality is going so mainstream right now. People are using words like vibration and energy in their everyday language, and this is something y'all are going to want to be front row on. So we'll talk about that and how you can be included in it.
Mm-hmm. And there's something really impactful, Kourtney, also about really speaking from that place of knowing, this hiding that we have a communication or kind of keeping it to ourselves or being shy about it or not just having it as part of a normal conversation. It's it just doesn't fly as much anymore. We can't hide that part of ourselves. It hurts too much. It's not an expression that is creating the type of world that we want to live in. So the fact that we're having these very clear communications, very open conversations and touching the depth of truth of what's available, it's for me, it's the most important thing.
You're so right, John. And we talk about being authentic, right? This is part of that. I mean, we're at a time right now when this waking up is undeniable. And
Mhm.
and people coming out of the spiritual closet and and knowing that we've all been told you've got to let your light shine, right? That's what this is about, knowing we can communicate, having that communication, and no longer hiding behind, oh, it's woo woo or it's crazy or anything like that, but being true to ourselves and what we know in our hearts is part of our calling, and really what spirit is even calling us to do. So yeah,
Mhm.
genuine authentic sense of self.
Yeah, I agree. And something that I would touch upon before we go deeper, because I want to know more about the secrets of an angel reader. You got me with that title. It's like, okay, tell me more. This is gonna be fun. Um, what's happening also in this communication, Kourtney, it's in the past, and for me also, it's like, just give me some information, bring some clarity in here, help me get to this other space, help my mind relax, help my heart relax, and that's wonderful. And the guidance that's been provided to that place has been profound. And I'm not the same person I was 15 years ago that I am today. And it's part of embracing this communication. But what also I'm coming to know is that as that clarity comes forward and we step into the probability of that manifesting, creating where it is that we'd like to be next, that sometimes some of the things that we're comfortable with, that we'd rather not leave behind. The vulnerable places, like, oh, I really don't want to look at that, or it's too tender, it's going to hurt, are going to come up naturally. And they still come up for me after all these years. And so even seeking this clarity, even being able to communicate at a deeper level for what's manifesting through us becomes ever that much more important.
Oh yeah, and vulnerability. Come on, let's face it, y'all. I'm queen of that. I have walked around with a huge target on my back for years, right? Um, so many of us in the spiritual community have felt that way, but it's now about saying, if that's what it takes to get through and to go higher and to go further, right? Then so be it. And that's being true to ourselves and that calling.
All right, Courtney. Well, let's get into secrets of an angel reader. Do you have a list? How should we do this? This is going to be amazing.
Oh, it's I can talk to a fence post, so you will probably have to shut me up. Um, I've been doing this for quite a while now, as a full-time career. For those of you who don't know me, my background, believe it or not, swing the pendulum the complete opposite way of angels, and you'll get into something very masculine, like motorcycles, right? Four-wheelers, the big side-by-sides, watercraft. And that's, been my life, family business. And so when my mom passed, I wanted so desperately to communicate with her. And she was my best friend, and I was so lost. And I started hearing music and I started hearing voices, not nefarious, nothing telling me to do anything bad, but I started hearing these voices. And this was before mom passed. And I went to mom and dad and I said, I'm hearing music. And they said, turn off the radio. Really spiritual. Um, and looking back on it now, I understand what it was. I know it was my angels and my guides coming to me and saying, look, we're here for you. They knew my mom was about to transition. They knew she was going to cross over and that I was going to be a mess, right? Which I was. My world crumbled.
Hmm.
Once I got past that shock and devastation of my mom being gone, the desire to want to communicate with her was so strong in me that I quit my job. I don't suggest that, okay? Not the smartest thing. Quit my job, flew to Hawaii, got my certification to become an angel reader. And I got to tell you, here's the thing. The first couple of days I was there, I was like, what in the Sam Hill have I done? There were people in there going, oh, I see this aura and these beautiful colors. I think they said one girl was back in the back levitating. I didn't see it. But I thought, oh my gosh, I close my eyes and I see nothing, right? And I was like, well, I suck. That's just the way it is. I had spent so much dang money on this, and I hadn't figured out a way to go back and tell my dad, well, maybe this isn't for me. So I just stayed with it, left Hawaii, and I was like, well, I can't go back with my tail between my legs, right? So I just said, okay, I'm going to start doing angel readings. And I put out ads, and I had the blue-haired little old Baptist ladies, email me and tell me I was going to hell. And it was, I mean, you name it. Every time about vulnerability and the target on your back, right? But it was sink or swim, do or die. And I wanted it. And I wanted it so badly. And I wanted so badly to talk to mom. So after some practice and going through it, getting to know my angels, getting to know my guides, and I'll tell you something. I'm called an angel reader, but there's more to it. Mm-hmm. I'm not just communicating with angels. Y'all have heard of ascended masters. Y'all have heard of, now there are several different names for it, but the Infinite Council, Intergalactic Council, Great White Brotherhood, Council of 12, they're also there. And I'll tell you, one of the funniest things is I didn't really have much interactions with aliens. And I remember doing a reading probably within my first 6 months of being a professional reader. And this woman came and sat down and there was a spaceship over her shoulder. And I said, so, how would you feel if I told you you may not be from this planet?
Hmm.
And she said, oh, I know. I came in on a comet. And I was like, oh, yay. Because I thought, oh my gosh, she's going to reach across this table and kill me. But it was very normal for her. And that opened me up to another realm, if you want to call it that. So secrets, oh yes, just ask away. Now you know what my whole life story.
That's awesome. Okay, so you went there, you weren't getting anything in this group. You thought you were just like, this isn't for you, but you wanted to desperately connect. So obviously it turned on for you. How can it start turning on for people who are listening and maybe perhaps they want to do what you're doing as well?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So get honest with yourself, y'all. It
Hmm.
is one of those things that you don't have to have a near death experience to ignite within you. It's one of those things that really, for all intents and purposes, you have to have that desire. You have to ask for it. And I don't mean ask for it in an uncontrollable way. We've seen TV where the medium or the psychic walks up to somebody and goes, oh, your mom is coming to me and you're wearing, green underwear or something, right? In a way that's going to be beneficial, not just for you, but for everyone. Nobody wants to wake up and see full bodied apparitions at the end of their bed or,
Right.
walk around their house with the lights flickering and wondering if somebody's coming in. So it's one of the things that I teach is kind of what I call the rules of engagement, those boundaries, those parameters. You want to feel safe in this.
Hmm.
And and that's what people need to know is because immediately when there's something new or something that seems interesting, but they don't know about it, don't know all the details of, there's fear. And so what I'm here to do is help eliminate that fear and let you know you do have some control over this. You do have kind of those rules that you can put in place. And and it's important. I mean, how many of you have ever used Ouija board?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. I still don't know how we didn't have the bed shaking with all the crazy things we did, and lights flickering. But inherently, a Ouija board may not be bad, but there aren't any. You don't say a prayer before you get on a Ouija board. We're kids. We're wanting to just call in anything and show our neighbor that we weren't touching it. And it really did move.
Hmm.
So that's part of this. When we ask, we need to know who we're asking. We need to have those rules in place so that we feel safe, we feel comfortable, and that we know how to turn it on and off. And it's one of the things that I teach people. The other big thing people need to know is it doesn't have to be a big announcement. This
Hmm.
doesn't have to be something where you say, this is what I'm doing, and I'm telling the whole world, right? There will come a time when you feel ready to come out of the spiritual closet. But this can be something that you actually keep to yourself, or it can be something that when the time is right and you feel that calling in their heart, you're ready to share with the world.
Hmm. For sure. I think what's also what I really appreciate about what you're presenting to y'all, we're going to get into live Q&A in a little bit. But again, there's access that's available to all of us. Again, I certainly have glimpses of different ways that I receive information, but not one that I would particularly say, oh my God, this is it. But in the way that would be that someone would put, this is what John does. But I know that the intention that I bring in, I can acclimate into what's appropriate for me to receive, what's appropriate for me to translate and to give for someone else. And I don't do what the medical intuitives do necessarily. I don't do what Teresa Caputo does on a TV show on whatever network she happens to be on. But there's glimpses of that also. And I have found the most important thing for me to get to those spaces, there's a few. And I want to go deeper in this with you, Kourtney, because this is so important. What's my intention? Am I doing this for myself, or why am I really doing this? And if I'm connecting to my own guides for myself, that's something. If I'm connecting so I can read someone else. What's my intention? Can I get out of the way? Am I willing to trust what's coming through me? In other words, am I willing to be a clear vessel for what's coming through for someone else as it doesn't get filtered through me and my interpretation, my desire for them? And then finally, which was one of the most important pieces for me, it's what path did I follow to develop these gifts within myself? And there are particular paths, and we can play and kind of mold around different opportunities that present themselves. But when I really dove deeply into following a path, into following, hey, here's practice one, practice two, practice three, or try this, all within a particular container. That's when I saw those capacities increase exponentially.
Yeah. And we all have looked at the clock and have seen 11:11 or 3:33, right? So we know that they're communicating with us, but what are we in alignment with? And are we wanting more than just the numbers? Because I promise you, you go to 10 websites, you're going to get 10 different meanings for those numbers.
Oh, yeah.
And being able to get yourself into a place where you're ready to receive. And gosh, what you said is so true. Getting out of your own way, getting out of your head, right? Your ego and your logic kicks in and goes, oh my gosh, you're so wrong. That's not what it means. That's not what it was. You're making this up. It's your imagination, right? And I will tell you that with my readers who are certified and some who are going through certification, that was like the number one thing that we had to conquer was that doubt. And when you have yourself in alignment with what you're doing, and like you said, your intention is pure, is true, is set, then you can really allow yourself to be open. Getting out of your head and getting out of your way is probably the most difficult aspect of that.
What helped you the most as you were opening up? Obviously, you went to this course, you went to this work, you were doing that. It's like, did that provide a foundation for you in the beginning of something, or what cracked the dam open for you?
Necessity. I know that sounds awful. I didn't have a job, right? I had no income. And at that time in my life, I didn't have a lot of savings. I had a mortgage and I had a car note. Thank goodness I did not have children to support at that time. But it was okay, we got to pay bills. And that made me keep going and keep practicing. And I got to tell you, I so wish there had been someone to help mentor me to say, oh, that's your ego, honey. I didn't even have a name for it. My first readings were done, talking to a woman and had my eyes closed. She's sitting across the desk from me. And I was, thought I had to meditate for 45 minutes before I did her reading. And she came and sat down. I was like, oh my gosh, she's my real life, very first client ever. Closed my eyes and I went, oh, does your husband have a mustache? And she said, yes, he does. And I went, ah. I sat there and celebrated for a few minutes. And then I went, oh my God, okay, you have other questions. Okay, let me tune back in. So I wish I had somebody who could go through and say, okay, here's kind of the process. Here's what this means. Here's how you know you're connecting with angels, or here's how you know which angel it is. I mean, really, it was such trial and error. When I think about what really opened it up, there are a couple of theories. One, I'd loved this kind of stuff my whole life, right? So I think it was destined for me. I think it was part of my kind of who I am and what I was supposed to be doing with my life. So that calling was there. Also, I had sorry, I got an eyelash in my eye. Also, I had just gone and gotten baptized as an adult. The whole 9/11 thing kind of scared me, and so had already been, so I either got baptized like right before it or right after it. And I've been reading some books and they have shown like that helps perpetuate it. Now, if you're not baptized, I'm not saying that that's what you need to do, okay? It's looking back on it, hindsight, that I've said, I think I might have played a role in it. It may not have, okay? The other thing is I was really, really working on forgiveness, and I would go to sleep at night and I would read all of these self-help books on forgiveness. And with that, I was also doing some meditating. Now, I will tell you, with meditation, it's not coming easily for me. It doesn't. It is so counterproductive for me. I sit down and I think of the 50 million things I have to do. I will tell you, I am pleased to say, and this is almost braggadocious, okay? I think I can meditate sometimes for like 2 minutes. Bells and whistles go off and we have a party.
I've seen you meditate longer than that, but that's
Okay. Okay.
okay.
I'll give myself a little bit more credit. But yes, I used to meditate and fall asleep all the time. What I found out later was that if you're listening to a guided meditation, you fall asleep, it's still working. But just looking back on it, and these were not things that I can pinpoint and say, but necessity. I would not let myself give up because I was not going to go back to my dad and go, well, the angel thing didn't work out. Can I have my job back? It was doing it over and over and over again, and really trial and error. So I want, for those of you who are listening, you all have this ability. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a near-death experience. It was happening before my mom passed. I didn't know what it was. I didn't get hypnotized or anything like that. Like I said, I went to the course and studied and thought, I'm the biggest dork in the whole wide world. I'm the only one who can't get anything. And went home and was like, you got a mortgage to pay, so you better get some clients. And that really helped. Just doing it.
There's a couple of questions I want to have here before we go into live questions, y'all. So again, y'all raise your hands and we're going to go through some speed readings. There's an opportunity to work with Kourtney much deeper. I'm excited about this. We never do this on Beyond the Ordinary, by the way, but with Kourtney, it's like, oh yeah, this has to happen. And let me ask you the questions all, and then maybe you can go and answer. Did you finally communicate with your mom, and what did she say? How did that come through?
No,
I want to ask these questions in a row because I just want you to go, because it's just, how did your life shift when you started having that communication? How is it shifting for the people that you're reading and teaching how to do this for? And then finally, why do you feel it's so important? And hopefully you remember all these questions, but I'm guided to ask them all at once. Why do you feel it's so important for us to tune in and connect in this way that you're teaching others how to do now?
Yeah. Fantastic questions. Did I communicate with mom? Yes. Oh, thank God. And it's funny. Okay. I think I was doing readings for maybe close to a year. And I had done a reading on the woman who owned the metaphysical shop where I was. And she came back later and said, we're going to do a ghost tour. Would you like to be our psychic medium? And I said, oh my gosh, you're so sweet, but I'm not a medium. And she said, what do you mean you're not a medium? And I said, well, I talk to angels. And she goes, well, what about in my reading where you talk to my dad? And I went, oh, no, right? I was such a dork. But communicating with mom, oh my gosh, it was the absolute best. One of the ways I knew unequivocally that it wasn't just my imagination was I did a reading for my sister. And it was really hard because I had to cut myself off, and she couldn't be my sister. She just had to be my client. And mom couldn't be my mom. She had to be Diane. And so I wore my hat as just the reader, the observer, relaying the messages. Yeah. And I was like, Diane is showing me a cucumber. Hold on, that's not a cucumber. Let me check on this. Hold on. And I went into the energy again and I went, it's a microphone. And then it clicked. The Kourtney in me went, oh, my sister's a beautiful singer, right? And I was like, she wants you to sing more. And it clicked with my sister and she just started bawling. And I was like, I know my sister can sing, but Kourtney, the reader, I was thinking it was a cucumber. Come on, and so it's that kind of stuff. And that was when I knew I was really communicating with mom. She would come to me in dreams, and those were really profound. But I will tell you, I've never had that gift, the ability to be a medium or communicate with those through the veil, let's say, and ever had it scare me or scare my kids or anything like that. And part of that was because I set up those boundaries very early on about who I would communicate with and what. Um, Communicating with mom now is a joy, and there's an ease and a grace to it. And there are times that I'll forget I have the ability. I know that sounds crazy. Um, and I'll think, what would mom say in this? And Cord, my husband, will go, babe, why don't you ask her? And I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that. You
Yeah.
know, it's that is, I love that. And I love knowing that the physical body may not be there, but now it's an expansive state. And it's my girls are 6 and 10 now. But I will tell you, I remember coming downstairs one time, and I think Kimber was 3, and she was in my office and she was talking and just kind of looking up. And I walked in and I said, baby, who are you talking to? And she was like, Mom, yeah, there are a lot of people in here. And I said, yeah, who are you seeing? Who are you talking to? Because in that time I was in mom mode, right? So I wasn't even tuning in. And she was like, your mom is here. Did we call her Mimi? And I said, yes, baby. The grandkids would have called her Mimi. And she was like, I like her. 3 years old. They couldn't make this up. And I was just, trying not to cry. But that was really beautiful. So communicating with mom is amazing. Gosh, I love that. And I'm not so glad that she's gone, but I'm so glad I can still communicate with her on that level.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And then in that you're also teaching your kids I'm teaching my grandson also like this openness of communication. Like we're not denying those aspects of the future generations. And as we take authority over that's coming through us, we really engender that power in everybody around us as well.
Can you imagine, John, if we grew up with people talking about this readily? I mean, my kids understand, I need to go meditate. Y'all chill out for a minute. And they're like, okay, can we come with you? Okay, but this is not talking meditation, right? Uh, they know those words. And there are times that they'll come home from school, and especially if they've had a particularly hard day, they will ask, mommy, can we go meditate? And they understand what that means, and the getting quiet and allowing. And again, I tell y'all, it was not easy for me to begin meditating, but when I see the effect it's had on my kids, they are at such a higher level. And you would ask, how did this shift my life?
Mhm.
It's similar to what's happening with my kids. They see things from a different perspective. And it's one of the biggest things that happened to me, because when we realize that we are more than just our bubble, right? We start understanding that there's a connection there, that we're all connected, that what you see in somebody is an aspect of you reflected back. And I promise you that was very difficult for me to understand. And when I go into the energy, I totally get it. Just like, time not being linear. When I'm in the energy, it all makes sense. When I'm trying to explain to somebody, it crumbles in my mind.
Mhm.
But it shifted my mind in the aspect that my tolerance really increased. My compassion, oh my gosh, really opened up. And because you see things from a different perspective, like I tell my readers, you are seeing things from the eyes of the angels. And how do they see things? Through love.
Mm.
They don't look at it as that kid stole your pen in 3rd grade. They see it as, oh, isn't that sweet? That little boy saw that pink pen and knew pink was his mom's favorite color. So he took it to give to his mom.
Mm.
See the love. So as you begin opening yourself up to this and having that rapport and that communication with those higher beings, it rubs off on you. You elevate yourself. You have so much more compassion because you start to see the love in everything as it goes. And so my husband told me that my favorite word when we first got married was compassion, and that I didn't always say it very compassionately, but that he would be driving in Houston traffic, if y'all can imagine. And boy, things would fly out of his mouth, words and phrases I don't think I've ever heard before, even being in the military for a little bit. And I would go, babe, compassion, compassion. And he's like, the blankety blank just cut me off. And I'm like, yeah, maybe he had to get there faster than we did. It's okay. There's plenty of time. We're not, let him. It's okay. And I said, come on, how many times have I cut somebody off? And he's like, well, I don't know. I was like, it's happened. Compassion. So, so there's a certain amount of grace I think God gives us when he says, you're wanting to commune. Yes, we're going to talk and we're going to have this wonderful bond. Oh, I will give you so much grace and give you so many passes on everything. So that's one of the ways it shifted my life. For my clients, my students especially, it has shifted their life in ways. One of my readers said the other day, she said, I think I'd be lost if I hadn't found you, not just as a reader, but as a mentor, as a teacher. She said, things within the family, come on, we all have those family dynamics, don't we? The different things that were going on in the family, kids, stepkids, right? The exes, that kind of stuff. It was just about torturing her. And she said, I found everything so nitpicky, and it would just about set her off. She would either get really angry or go beyond anger into tears. And she said, but now being in this alignment, she said, it just rolls off my back. And she said that she is more aware now when she's getting into a negative or bad mood. And she says, I'll go to my meditations and I'll just put them on shuffle. She said, I don't even have to listen to it, but having that high vibration playing in the background, she said, it made doing my taxes so much easier. And I was just laughing at her. And I said, who has a smile on their face when they're talking about their taxes, right? And she said, I knew I had to do something. She said, I've never dropped so many F-bombs in all my life. And it was just precious, right? But it was true. So shifting my life to a higher plane, a higher vibration, theirs as well, your tolerance, boy, you know, I got to say, for most of my life, I would say that I was a pretty happy, joyous person. After mom died, there was a lot of anger that I didn't even realize was about her death. I just was kind of a biatch, very defensive, very big chip on my shoulder. Uh, Not a person you'd want to play with, right? Probably why I didn't meet my husband until I was 35. But starting to be more spiritual and live my life with different moral codes, if you want to call them that, different pillars or virtues, or just what I wanted my laws and my rules governing me, my boundaries to be, elevated me and really allowed me to release a lot of the judgment, a lot of the criticism, that defensiveness. Good God Almighty. I'm so glad that really has subsided. So it's made me a better person. It's made my clients better people. I will say this. Now, I can't guarantee this, okay? This is just something I've noticed. My students and my clients, when they start working with their angels and guides and that energy, there is a youthfulness about them. And I haven't gone into the science of it, but seriously, I do believe that when we are up in that vibration, what I call my happy, fluffy clouds, I do believe there is something that happens in our body. I'd love for this to be scientifically studied. But whether it's the aging process stops or we're manifesting that youthfulness, whatever it is, I can honestly say I have seen my readers become more youthful in the time that I've spent with them.
Mhm. And I think in so many different ways you've answered the last question. I want to get to live Q&A also. Why this is so important. And yes, being youthful is one thing. Having vitality is a whole nother thing. And the strength that that gives us to live in truth and to really have the courage to walk on that. And we find after a while that we don't need the courage to walk in truth. It just becomes natural. But we're breaking a cycle of where we had to build up to something because we thought we had to defend it. But as we get to embody it, and again, that cohesive field from the guides and from those other veils of existence that we have access to now, they're calling all of us forward if only we're willing to be in participation with it.
Yeah. And important now. My belief, uh, and truthfully, I'm not a very political person, but the climate in our society, the socially, politically, environmentally, globally, people are waking up. Spirituality is coming to the forefront, and I don't believe it's an accident. I believe people are seeking something greater than what they were taught to believe in.
Oh yeah.
That's we grew up. Come on, I was in the Air Force and believed my country was the greatest and my government was the greatest. And I got older and became a little bit disenchanted, if that's the word. And when you start seeing those things going on, and come on, you become an adult, let's say, and we watch the news, let's say, and we see that there are wars and people are fighting, and we go, there's something more than just our leaders, and people are looking for something greater. And what is that song? Give me something to believe in. Yeah, Gen Xers, y'all know that one. But it's really because we want that faith. We want to know that there is something more and that there's a different way we can go. And we're not just at the mercy of whatever these people do, right? And we want to know that we can find happiness and joy. Otherwise, shoot, we're going to sit there and just watch the news all day long and be filled with doom and gloom and just blah, right? We want to know there's something greater. We want to know that not only is there something greater, but guess what? We have access to that. We can speak to them. They're here to help us. And we're not just at the mercy of some humans in charge. And when we start to see things that are going on in our world and we see some of the injustices that we witness, we want to know that we are doing our part. And so now, more than ever, it is the most important time, I believe, for us to not only come forward and know that we can connect and we can communicate, but to receive their messages, to ask for their help, to know that, hey, maybe if we do get enough of us together and our light comes out, we can swing the pendulum the other way and we can actually change the world and make a difference. And we can see it maybe even in our lifetime, if not for our kids, our grandkids, and for the future generations to know that we have made a difference. We didn't just sit by and let it happen. We knew this was the way we could make a change.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say maybe. I think it's an absolute. How we participate, how we experience it, and how we emanate that becomes a question as individuals. But I already see the swell going in that direction. And it's a lot of it's because of y'all and people like you. And it's fun as you were speaking, my mother was coming in, she was reminding me of what she always used to tell me when I was a teenager. I'll tell you who you are by the company that you keep. I'll tell you who you are by the company you keep. And it's true. And even with this, if we can connect to our guides in this way even more deeply, even for me, I'm always like, what else is available? How else can I explore? How can I be deeper? How can I be more open? How can I surrender so that I can understand better? Um, and then how can I be in receptivity of all the love that wants to come to me just because? Um, and it's profound what keeps awakening on a continuous basis when I show up for all those what ifs. Um, it's quite beautiful, and not only does it get reflected because of what I would see through spirit, which is all encompassing through all these labels and beautiful titles that we give these amazing beings. But Kourtney, it's reflected in my outside, it's reflected in my reality. It just is. It just becomes engendered in. And when that happens, we can't help but to share it with others. It's like our cup becomes so full. It's how can you not? How can you not, right?
It's I liken it to uh, having like the key, knowing that somebody needs a vitamin or a kid wants a band-aid. It's you have the key that would help somebody live a better life. Are you going to keep it to yourself? No, you're not that selfish. You do want to share and you do want to tell everybody, oh my gosh, there's a whole other world out there. And do you know how amazing it is? Do you know how wonderful it is? I talked to a client this morning, and like we all do, she had really kind of gotten down in the dumps. And she was like, what what's in it for me kind of thing. And she was like, where is God now? And I said, oh baby, let's talk about this.
Mm.
Would you like somebody to bring you flowers? And she said, yeah, I'd like somebody to bring me flowers. I said, great. God brings them to you every spring, more than you can ever count, more than you can ever put in a bouquet. She was like, okay, I like where you're going with this, Kourtney. Tell me what else. I said, and you want gifts? And she said, sure. I said, every morning that sun rises for you. And she was like, it does. And I said, we don't even have to ask for that. We don't even have to wonder.
Mm.
It's also another gift. And she said, I love sunrises. They're so peaceful. And I said, and at the end of the day, when you've had a hard day or you've worked hard or you've played hard, that sunset is there to congratulate you for a wonderful day and to give you permission to go to sleep. She was like, feel like a new woman. And how can you not? When you think about it in that way and you go, oh, okay, yeah. And you start to think about those little synchronicities and serendipitous moments that happen. And you go, yeah. And it's so empowering.
It really is. And again, when we get to the gratitude that when we acknowledge that the gratitude that wells up through us because of that divinity being bestowed onto us, but then we empower that divinity because we're having gratitude for it, and it becomes this beautiful torque expansionary feel that you just like, but we forget sometimes, like you forget to connect to your mom, but you've got the angel coming through your husband and going, hey, hello, wake up, connect to
Yeah.
your mom. And so they show up. We show up for each other in all these different ways with those messages, except we're remembering to remember when we forget more often. So when we forget, we remember. When we remember, we forget. And it just becomes like, oh, there it is, there it is, there it is. Amazing.
And when you understand that it's not necessarily a place you have to get to or go to communicate, they're already there.
Yeah.
It's you getting to go beyond the veil. And then it's just so exciting, especially when you get that training and understand maybe the steps or the process, right? The tangible things to do, right? To make it easy to go into it. But like you sit here and you go, Kimber asked me the other day, she said, so mom, our angels are always around. And I said, yes, ma'am. They are always around you. They love you. They're helping you. They are blessing you or they're blocking you. And sometimes you can go beyond that block because you have free will. I think it started to get a little deep for her because then she was like, so mom, who's around right now? And I was like, okay, well, hang on, stop cooking, stop doing homework, and said, okay, so let's look into this. And as soon as I started going into it, I realized, oh my gosh, it's not just like one or two. The more I started going into it, it was like they just
Yeah.
exponentially increased. Everywhere. They're at Walmart, they're at the mailbox. They're when you're sitting in your car by yourself, there are all of these loving beings who are there to support you and love you and help you and give you those random thoughts and give you those great ideas. And these sentient beings, so many times I will call them, we know that it's all part of God, part of spirit. And it's your birthright. You're allowed to talk to him at any time and have a two-way communication. And that, I feel like when you have that, you start turning off the news.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You're reminding me of an experience that I had in Brazil. And y'all, I'm going to get to Q&A here in a second. I want to start calling on y'all, and we have to go through what Kourtney's offering that we brought on. We're going to go into because this is so freaking fantastic. We're going to get into it in a little bit though. I have to share that I was in a ceremony in Brazil and this deep meditation, and I asked this, I want an angel to come through for me. And this deep meditation, then it's like, as I sat with it, 2 minutes later, I had like this legions of angels. It was overwhelming. It was
Yes.
overwhelming how many were showing up. I was like, it's like, whoa, 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 slow down. Can you just send an ambassador? Can you send me one? Can you send me one so I can take all this in because this is too much for me right now. Just send me one to be a representative. And then what evolved from there was beautiful. And they complied. And they sent me the one that I can adjust to and receive and calm myself down in it. And what revealed afterward was so profound. But what you shared about just pausing and really seeing and feeling and being with what's available to us. Wow. Wow. And how we get to learn to have conversation,
Yeah.
how to play, how to seek guidance, but also to co-create with or initiate creation with, all simultaneously. It's amazing what we can play with. Um, can we get into some Q&A?
Yes, let's do it to it.
All right. April, do me a favor, put the link for the opportunity to work with Kourtney in the chat box. If y'all want to open that up, we're going to go through it in a minute. But again, I want to start with Q&A first. Dee Dee, D2, welcome to the call.
Hello. Thanks for calling on me. Hi, Kourtney.
Hi, how are you, beautiful?
Oh, thank you. Good, great. I really, really was resonating with what John had just said. I was going to just keep this very open, and it's almost like, and how you were mentioning too, like you believe that maybe you were doing this before you knew what you were doing. And I like meaning like the communication. And I agree. I feel like I always have, but now have been choosing to have an awareness. And more than anything, it's I do meditate quite often, and I do have a feeling that there's something that almost kind of shifts from right here with me. But it's more like having like the ambassador, like a way to get some clarity for the two-way communication. And the other beautiful thing is that I had an epiphany about forgiveness with myself, and how right now, like I might still be a little bit in my own way, because I'm learning all of a sudden that I am very like in forgiving mode, like with myself first and others, but I still am not forgetting. Like the maybe the letting go is, I'm still seeing life through a lens of like a whole new forgiveness, and that feels so much lighter. But man, I know I'm learning that I have not forgotten, and I think that might be holding me back from really letting go and being out of the way with communication, just because of my perspective lens. I'm not sure this is brand new. Like last night, it happened right before I went to sleep with this forgiveness thing. So I guess for a question, it would be, to put into like, is there a way that I can practice in the meditation, or like have a knowing of a way to, and I looked at, just when I looked at the clock, it was 4:44 when you were talking about numbers. And so it's all really happening. It's just, I'm curious about translation and the two-way practice because of all the input coming in. There's so much input coming in.
Yeah. And you know, what you're talking about is something that my students say is, how do I know if it's me? How do I know who it is? Because I promise you, your angels and guides do not want to scare you. So, you know, thinking, oh, well, why can't they just sit down and show in full bodied apparition right here? Because it would probably scare the bejesus out of you and you'd never want to talk to him again. Kind of like John having to say, whoa, hold up, just send me one, right? It is overwhelming. I will say this, because you are at that interface of forgiveness and the self-awareness, that is one of the first steps you can take to get out of your way. Your next step would be not just meditating, but kind of like what John was saying earlier about having the intention, but being able to know you're safe in communication. And I will tell you, after years of teaching and finally putting a school together, I got real granular with what are the exact steps, right? Because I've been hearing theories, you know, for years, but after, you know, nearly 15 years of doing this full time, I was like, we need a set of steps that people can say, here's step one, and here's what I'm going to do. And one of the first steps about getting out of your own way is you understand that you still are human. You still are in the 3D, right? And so, D, the fact that you're able to say, okay, I'm waking up to this, I'm understanding what's going on. Do I have to finish the forgiveness before I can get the message? No, baby, you don't. You're doing it right. Opening your heart to it is going to be very empowering for you, because what Michael is saying right now is that there's still a little part of you that's maybe a little fearful, and that fearfulness may show up as even more doubt. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely. That's the one thing, like my partner, when we were discussing how things are in my, like, the way I'm just being with my day, like when I'm out and about in the day, I'll say that I notice the moments when I have doubt. Now I'm so grateful because I realize that it's not effective, and I can shift it. And it's helping me see the lens differently, as information is coming in, like a random song or a smell or a taste or a visual vision, you know. It's helping me not be afraid of whatever is coming in, I guess. And then if I have doubt, I'm realizing I'm getting in my head now, and so I just bounce right back out.
I think you just said something wonderful that I really want to highlight.
Okay.
And Kourtney, if you want to expand on this also, not having fear. Not having fear. And as we connect more into these truths, I find that if I have doubts, maybe it's not really doubt, it's timing. It's like, let me sit with this and let me get out of the way to see what my preference is. Or it's like, do I really have an expectation? And it's like, is it fear that's leading the outcome that I'm seeing, or that I'm not going to receive something that I hope I'm going to receive? And when we know that we're functioning in fear, we'll feel that. But for me, whenever I hear something or feel something, there's just such a truth to it that even though I may not be like, okay, well, let me ask more clarifying questions and be with it, but I seek for even more clarity, or I play with it. I mean, I've sat in readings with people, or my guides I'm sitting with someone and they're like, tell them this, tell them this, tell them. And I'm like, there's no freaking way I'm going to tell them that. There's no way. And
Right.
they'll insist. It's like, fine, okay. I'm supposed to tell you this. And and you can just see the other person melting or welling up in tears and go, oh my God, thank you for that information or whatever. So I think there's something about learning to navigate. Well, I don't think I know. There's something about being willing to ask questions until you're satisfied, but knowing whether those questions come from fear or from clarity. Um, and it can become so empowering. Because even as we practice that, we see that we start eliminating fear, not just from the messages that we're receiving, but in our daily lives, because we come more into our own authenticity, our own refinements of hearing and listening to our voice. And before you know it, the angels aren't coming from up there. They're coming from within here, within yourself. And it's so beautiful. What would you say to that, Kourtney?
Oh, I totally agree. And if you believe in other lifetimes, a lot of us have been in lifetimes where our spirituality got us in trouble, right? We may have been beheaded. We may have been tortured, things like that. So it's perfectly legit for us to be a little bit hesitant to want to go into this, and maybe not even know why. So it's really important that you set up those rules of engagement so that you know who you're communicating with, and you don't have to wonder, is this something bad? Is this bad juju? Is this an earthbound spirit trying to communicate? So that's one of the biggest things that's going to give you that safety and that comfort with who you're communicating with.
Kourtney, what also comes up for me, I have to share that in my experience, and that I know just how charmed I am as well, and that I have felt these protector guides around me all my life, where is something negative coming through for me, and it's like I don't have to deal with that as much as other people have to. And so what you're talking about, Kourtney, and it's so important to know some of the parameters, to know some of the guidelines, the universal laws, and how we communicate, how we set up our field, what's coming through us, how it's coming through us, and why it's coming through us. All those pieces, when you can learn some of the basics and hold them steady, your capacity to navigate this becomes exponential.
Yeah, because then you're not walking into a room wanting to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
You're fine walking into the room and being, the life of the party, because then everybody around you in a sense. So it's having those rules of engagement. It really is important, especially if your last experience has been with Ouija board, right? We want to make sure that we have those boundaries, those parameters to keep us safe, so that we're not inviting stuff in that's going to, start waking you up in the middle of the night. Those things. Yeah.
Didi, I hope that answered your questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see you. Thank you. Okay, let's continue, y'all. I am going to go now to Miss Barbara. Welcome to the call. Yes, Barbara, you.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Didn't expect that. Well, I did have a question that I wasn't going to ask, but I guess I'll ask it now. I channel and talk to angels and all that stuff, and I was doing it professionally, but I keep getting this nagging feeling that I just want to retire and forget all the business part of it, like the email list and the social media and like all that stuff. It's like, it's just, sometimes I enjoy it, but like right now I'm really down on it. And I'm thinking I'm just going to retire, drop all that stuff, and then be a better wife and have a cleaner house and cook better meals and see my grandkids more. And I want to do that, but I don't want to feel guilty if I do that.
First off, let me tell you, I love you. Okay. Someone who has to have the cojones to say straight up, yeah, I'm going to shut it all down. That's it, right? Because gosh, dog it, I got to tell you, Barbara, I have been there. In fact, we had this conversation. My guides and I had this conversation. We had a come to Jesus meeting. That's what we call it in the South here, a come to Jesus meeting. And I said, look, if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, then I need to know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing because I can go be a mom, right? This really is a lot of pressure of, grinding out and doing the work. And it came through so clearly. And I almost felt guilty. I was somewhat humbled. They came back and they said, sure, you can close it off. And maybe you'll be okay for a day or two. And then what? When you start recognizing all of your potential clients, people who you're here to help, and they need you, then are you going to come back out of the closet? Are you turning this on and off? And, God gave you this gift, and are you going to put it in a drawer or tuck it under the bed? And then I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. So I totally hear you. And believe me, it resonates so much depending on, which season of my life I'm in. So if I could give you this, and I love the way Gabriel is saying this. Gabriel is the angel who is over artists, communicators, teachers, lecturers, things like that, but also anything right-brained and anything spiritual. So if you're needing to move forward on your path, your spiritual path, Gabriel is there cheering you on. And Barbara, what I love about this is Gabriel is coming to you and he's like, we've had this conversation. And think of him as your one-man band cheer, or one angel man band cheering section. He's got the big drum, he's got the cymbals, the trumpet, the little harmonica, and he is cheering you on because he says, no, your soul contracts are not over yet. You are not done. If you need to take a vacation and come back recharged and renewed, but the world needs you. And the world needs you now more than ever, honey.
Yes, Gabriel and I have had that talk before. And Michael and Uriel and Raphael. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just give it some more time, take a rest, and then see how I feel later.
I have a question for you. Oh, go ahead, Kourtney.
I was going to say, and get you a virtual assistant to help with the emails and all the other things. Get you an April and Chris like John has. Get you a Jamie like I have. They are literally angels from heaven sent to save our sanity.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I wouldn't be able to do this without April, and now with Chris. It'd be impossible. Barbara, my question for you is, and maybe something to contemplate without having to go deeper into it. You keep calling it this stuff. Who in your life was calling it this stuff that says that you need to do something else that's more valuable, and this stuff can take a back seat? So curious. So curious where you may have heard that from, where that may have been picked up, because I can feel it in you. Of course, I know you well, but this communication comes from the recesses of your soul. I mean, you can't help but to be it. So to say, I'm going to put this to the side and not be myself so that I can be a good wife and not have to deal with this stuff, or cook better dinners and not have to deal with this stuff, and be a better grandmother and not have to deal with this stuff. I would invite you that it's because of this stuff that you get to be an even better wife, an even better meal prepper and cooker, an even better grandmother, because you're growing from that love. And from that love, you can't help but to give it first to the inner circle that's in your life first, which is your husband, which is the food that you cook and the energy that you put into, which is your grandchildren. There's no way that you can that by shutting that down that you'll be able to love more. I guarantee you that.
And having a clean house is overrated.
Agree. You can hire someone. You can hire someone to clean your house. That's just not even a thing. Barbara, thank you.
All righty. It's my mom, the clean house thing. And I have the guilt of not keeping the house clean, because my mom did when she had 7 kids and we still had a clean house. Anyways, I will take what you've said, and I will go talk to Gabriel right after this webinar.
Talk to Gabriel and go in the mirror, talk to your little girl, talk to little Barbara. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
what's up? What's up? What do you think about this stuff?
Mhm.
Does it make you happy that we get to play or not play with this stuff? How do you feel received or not received with this stuff? And what do you want? And then what does Big Barbara want? Anyway, love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, y'all. We're gonna go into more Q&A, y'all, because I want y'all to get more like of this from Kourtney and this opportunity, y'all, to have Kourtney for giving us a little bit of a reading, even though she's going deep. It doesn't happen a lot because she's so booked with other things. I want to go through the special offer. There's an opportunity to work with Kourtney one-on-one for a reading, but there's an opportunity to go deep into work. And that's what I'm really excited about. The link for the special offer, y'all, is in the chat box. April, Chris, will y'all type it in there one more time, please? It's already in the chat once. It's about to come up again. And you can get to it also by just going to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Kourtney32. I'll take you to that same page. There it is in the chat box. Kourtney, I love it. We can unveil, if you would unveil, these really special opportunities.
Okay, so either package, whichever one you get, you're going to get a reading with me and you'll get some meditations. But can I go to the meat and potatoes on this? Y'all mind if I skip over package A and just go straight to package B for y'all? This is a really big deal. Okay. Yes, you're going to get a session with me, but this is the game changer here. This, I can guarantee, will change your life, is Angel School. And in Angel School, this has been, talk about secrets of an angel reader. This is where it comes in. These are the secrets that people aren't going to tell you. Why? Probably because they're afraid you'll take their job. I'm kidding. But these are the things that people aren't going to tell you. These are the exact steps. The rules of engagement, I tell you how to do them. I tell you what ways are your angels communicating with you. Don't you want to know if you're clairvoyant or more clairsentient? And by the way, if you are clairvoyant, does it mean you'll never be clairsentient? How do I get to be clairaudient where I hear this too? I give you very specific practice exercises that you can do every day at any time to amp up your clairs, those extrasensory perceptions, and the way you communicate with your angels and guides. More stuff on this. How many of you have thought, is that my imagination or are those my angels? Okay, have we, that doubt we were talking about earlier, right? I give you the litmus test. The one statement / question that will obliterate any doubt. And you will know for sure anytime you receive a message, if it's from your imagination or if it's actually from your angels and guides, and you will never question it again. That in itself is worth getting Angel School to eradicate that doubt, because you know you want to help people. You know in your heart you care and you're here to make an impact. And what better way to do it than relay the messages from the angels? And this Angel School will teach you how to get messages for yourself, but also teach you how to get messages for other people. And I give you the secrets. You know, I remember when I was younger and they said, and they would say somebody's psychic, and I'm like, oh yeah, then how come they don't have the winning lottery ticket and winning lottery numbers? Did y'all ever think that? Okay. So my husband said, hey, why don't you try that? And I said, baby, it is not my destiny. So I'll just answer that question right now. If it is your destiny to win the lottery, I'll be glad to give you the winning lottery numbers, okay? It's not my destiny. That's why I don't have them. Now, I still give them to him because I do think there's something in him that may actually win. It may only be, $25 or $4 or, just not lose every time he does a scratch off. But when we care about the outcome, it's very, very difficult to get the answers. We are no longer objective. So in Angel School, I give you the keys to that, how to get those messages for yourself. Because yeah, we all want to help other people, but we also want to help ourselves, our family, our kids. Are they, off on the wrong track? Or, hey, are they going to get this job? Am I going to get that job? What's my next step? What am I supposed to be doing in life? Is this my purpose? Like getting those answers and getting tangible results for you. Angel School is a culmination of more than 15 years as a professional reader full time. Being on, I've had thousands. I don't even know if I could count how many clients and readings I've done. I'm going to say dozens of thousands. I mean, thousands and thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands. I haven't ever put pen to paper, but I'm giving you the tools and the secrets that nobody else is telling you. You're also going to get an angel chart so you know who they are, what their colors are, what they do, what they ask for, how they can ask you for, how you can ask them for things. Also, you do not have to go buy $50 million worth of crystals. You do not have to have 10 pendulums. You do not have to have, 65 decks of angel cards. Yeah, I know everyone. How many of you have more than at least 5 decks of cards, right? Yep. Y'all are card junkies like I was.
Oh, yeah.
But you can actually tune in without having cards. But what you're going to notice is when you go through Angel School, and it's all at your own pace. You can do it in the spiritual closet, under the covers. You'll learn all of this stuff and practice it at your own pace. But you're also going to know these things that, hey, I don't have to have this. I've got this within me. Here's how I ignite it. Here's how I put it into overdrive. You know what? You will know how to get messages on command, on demand, and you will know who you're speaking with, who you're communicating with, and you will know absolutely unequivocally you are communicating with the highest divine source and the highest light with this. This is something I've been working on for years and years and years. Who is the archangel around you right now? We've all heard of Michael, but is he the one who's helping you? Like for Barbara, it was Archangel Gabriel who came through for her. Maybe yours is Raphael. And who is Raphael? What does he do? You're going to learn all of that in this. I also have meditations that are guaranteed to raise your vibration, where going through the veil will become so easy for you, it'll be second nature, right? You'll go, okay, these are the steps. This is what Kourtney says we have to do to get there, because I've really broken it down. I have really gotten finite with this. I have slowed it down and said, okay, what's number one? If there was somebody who didn't even know what an angel or a chakra was, could they tune in? And I tell you what, it has been amazing. One of my clients, I was asking, tell me what are the changes, things you've noticed from after Angel School? One of them said, I always doubted if it was my imagination, and now absolutely I know. I know when it is and I know when it's not. Another one was talking about the symbols and the signs and the messages, and now she understands what they mean. Because it's great to get a message or to get a sign, but if you don't know what it is, how much better off are you before there, right? So you get guided meditations, you know what your superpowers are, you understand how to protect yourself. I was talking to my sister the other day, and she was going into this really great church overseas. And I said, be sure to shield yourself. And she was like, what? And I said, shield yourself before you go in there. You will be overwhelmed and you will burst into tears. And she was like, I don't cry. Okay, famous last words, right? She texted me back, went to cathedral, heard the music. Oh my gosh, my eyes overflowed with tears. And I said, yes, and you will still experience that, y'all. You will still get to experience, but it won't be overwhelming where you can't catch your breath. Or like me, you walk into the grocery store and you go, oh, wait, this is too much anxiety. Let me go back to the car and shield before I come back in. Or the airport. Have y'all ever gone to the airport and felt that anxiousness? So this is going to teach you about getting rid of that. You will feel like you're finally back to yourself, and you will know the messages that are coming through. We all have these gifts. These are your natural gifts, your natural abilities that you were born with. And this gives you the tools you need to turn them on, to use them. And not only that, you're also going to get this, the angel chart, you get the secrets nobody tells you, how to do a real angel reading. And you also will get 2 live calls with me. We'll go in and we'll talk about, hey, this is what's happening when I tune in here. Or the Archangel meditation, the first time Archangel Michael came through, the second time it was Archangel Haniel. What does that mean? And the cool thing is I can tune in with you and I can help you with that. So this is something that has only been made available to my private clients. So I've never before done this on a show. I've never made this public like this. So congratulations, y'all, at being the first. What better place to do it? John, I could go on and on. I get so excited about this because this is everything you need.
There's so much alignment, and that's why I've promoted it a few times before in a deeper course going on with Kourtney, if y'all have been watching the emails. But to have the capacity for Kourtney to again extend this out to not only our membership people who I go deep with, but also to the beyond the ordinary community in general. Y'all hold a particular field, and I hear it from speaker to speaker to speaker who comes and speaks on Beyond the Ordinary shows. Like there's something about your audience. There's just something. They're open. They're receptive. They've done their work. They're willing to grow. It's just y'all are just amazing, and your intentionality and in the heart intentionality that you bring in that intelligence. And so it's, again, it made me excited to be able to present this because y'all can go deeper into yourselves and ignite that connection. And the ripple effect that has for your own communities, for the rest of the world, it's profound that we all get to grow in that. Kourtney, one question, and we haven't gotten to package A, the first one, which is you get a reading with Kourtney as well. So with this, you get a 30-minute with Kourtney, all the modules, the 2 live calls, all that's included. That's $1,997. It's reduced almost 50% from what it's typically offered at. Kourtney, I noticed in our shopping cart that we're offering a 2-payment option. If someone goes directly through you, is there an opportunity to break down those payments into more payments?
Yes. Jamie has a way where she can do that. You can spread it out 3 payments of $7.99. I know we have that. And she just did something for another client where they were able to spread it out over even more payments. So
I'm gonna suggest something. If y'all need more payments for it, a payment plan for it, Kourtney, maybe you can give us an email address for your team and just put BTO Angel School, and that way Kourtney or her assistants will know that you prefer to have multiple payments or to work something out. Is that something that we can do, Kourtney?
Absolutely. Yeah, because there shouldn't be any reason why y'all can't access this. So if you've got a pen, do it support at KourtneyLevins.com.
There you go. Jamie just put it in the chat box also.
Jamie is amazing. And if she doesn't get taken off to Kansas by all these tornadoes she's got coming through Oklahoma, we'll say a little prayer for her. But Jamie she is tenacious. Boy, I tell you what, she got on there with like 6 different payment processors and was like, Kourtney, we can do this and this. Shoot her an email, say, I want Angel School. And I was on BTO with John and Kourtney, and I want this, and let's make it happen. And nice. If we need to set up something where you're, PayPal and $99 a week or something, I don't want you to have anything holding you back from this because y'all, the time is now. And let's face it, who needs to hear from their angels?
Yeah, consistently. I'm constantly, yeah.
We all do.
Sure. Oh, amazing. So that's package. That's like the big package. And there's also an opportunity to receive a session from Kourtney in package A. And there's some modules in there as well. So why don't you let everybody know what they get in that?
So package A, you're going to get, let me scroll up to the top. I apologize. You get the reading with me, and let me talk about a reading. Yeah. When we have a reading, I don't go Google you. Okay. When we sit down, I need to know your first name, your age. I'm 29 forever. Sometimes I even go up to 34, but a real age helps. And geographic location. That just helps me pinpoint your energy faster. I do an invocation. I call in your angels, your guides, ascended masters. It's not too uncommon for Jesus or even Buddha or Kuan Yin to come in. And those of you who are star seeds, or maybe you've heard about star seeds, or maybe have an interest in that, if they are part of your guides, they'll come in a lot of times too, and we can even explore that. But the things that you can ask in a reading, you can ask about your purpose. You can ask about romance. You could ask about someone else. I just need their first name, approximate age, and geographic location. Again, do I have to have it? No, it just really helps me pinpoint and get into that energy faster. None of the questions are off limits. So if you want to know if you're going to get this job, great. I can even go into the timeline and go, okay, you're going to get this job in 2 weeks, 2 months. Okay, this feels like 2 weeks. And let me go 6 months into the future and see, how are you getting along in that job? Or, hey, is there romance on the horizon? How is that looking? One of the really cool things with the readings is being able to go beyond your question, kind of beyond the ordinary, right? Beyond the question. And I will tell you that for someone y'all know and love, no names mentioned, but his initials are John Burgos. When we had a reading, part of what came through for him was, John, you've got some big work to do.
Yeah.
So there's no longer, oh, do I do this? Oh, do I not do this? You've got to go. And so those are the kinds of things that maybe you've wondered in the back of your mind. Maybe you don't even ask the question, but those answers are going to come through, and that reading is powerful.
You lit a fire under me, that knowingness, and you seeing that. And I could feel it within myself, but having it validated in that way so knowingly, it's like, oh shit, yeah. And yeah, and the work started in a whole new way. It's impactful. It is very impactful. So 15 minutes of you. And again, you gave that to me in 2 minutes. There's a lot more again in 2 minutes. That was it. It went like kind of skirting around the issues, like boom, there it is, and go. And then the agreement. So 15 minutes, but there's other modules in package A also, right?
Yes, you get some MP3s, and these are recorded meditations. Now, all of my meditations, I would love to say that I'm so organized and I write them all out word for word, and I have, at this part I'm going to pause. No, yeah, it doesn't happen that way. It's all just kind of channeled. It just comes in. I ask the angels to please speak through me, whatever needs to be said. But Bring Forth the Light and Love is probably the #2 most requested meditation I've ever done. It talks about you putting on your crown and you step into that light of who you are, who God made you to be. And I tell you what, within the first 30 seconds, all of your bad day or bad mood is gone. It is so uplifting. It is so powerful. Probably the first 3 months that I ever did this one, and of course it was only my readers who were getting this meditation. They said that they would cry just about every time they listened to it because it was so powerful and insightful of remembering who they were. And we get away from that. So I love, love, love that one. The nighttime clearing meditation. Y'all, this is so important. I truly believe we would not have some of the crises in the world today if we were clear. We are beings that energy moves until it attaches to something and lands on something. And so someone's thoughts, feelings, emotions, their memories, or even their imagination. Have you ever thought about a conversation you're going to have with somebody where you can get into that conversation and you're going to say this and they're going to say this and you're going to say that? Okay, conversation may never happen, right? But boy, we really get going. So that energy travels and it's going to land on somebody. And if you're someone like I was, an empath, which 85% of y'all are, it sticks to you. And maybe you're in a good mood 1 second, a bad mood the next, and you don't really know why. Or how many of y'all ever cry and you don't know why? Walk into a room crying for no reason? Yeah, okay. It's probably not menopause or PMS. It could be that you're actually picking up on somebody else's thoughts and their energies. And if you're like I was, oh my gosh, a roller coaster of emotions, the nighttime clearing meditation, I truly believe, I might even go so far as to say it saved my life. because I was not me. And once I finally got everything off of me, it was like, oh, I'm a much nicer person. So huge, huge. Listen to it at night when you're going to sleep. It still works whether you're listening to it or you don't have to full on meditate to it. Go to sleep to it. It still works. If you don't like listening to my voice, turn it down. It still works too. The other one, cutting energetic cords. Holy cow. If you have ever dated and broken up with someone and not been able to get them off your mind, has that ever happened? Yeah. Okay. This is why you still have those energetic cords, those ties, those attachment with that person. So when they think of you, you think of them. How many of you have picked up the phone or started texting and it's somebody, that same person calling or texting you? Yeah. Those are those energetic cords, those ties. And this is going to help you to clear that so we can stop rehashing that conversation. That's never going to happen. We can stop thinking about that ex. We can finally let them go. The person who cut us off in traffic, we are not still carrying around that conversation and that finger flying, right? We're going, next time I'm going to say this. No, we can finally let it go, right? These are really, really powerful to have in your toolbox. The other thing is people have called me or emailed me and said, I can't get in to see you, Kourtney. You're booked for this many weeks or this many months. Guess what? I have been training going on 3 years for a couple of them, my certified readers. They are incredible. They amaze me every week when we get together and we have class, and most of them are in 2 or 3 calls with me a week. But I will tell you, from test scores, I got a text yesterday or this morning, the days run together, from one of my clients who was a guest sitter with my readers and said, hey, your reader told me I was going to get an 87 or higher. The national average was an 86. I got an 88. So that's wonderful. Knowing about how your job is going to be, they can talk to you about that. One of my readers is so extremely clairvoyant that there are times that she will sketch and draw. Ask her about it if you get a reading with her. But this gives you a coupon so that when you go in there and you have those pressing questions that just can't wait, and certainly can't wait weeks and weeks for me, get with one of my certified readers. They have been through it. And I don't just certify everybody. I do readings with them. I'm there with them. And these ladies are top notch. You're really, really going to be impressed. Ask them about your love life. Ask them about money. Ask them about the stock market. Ask them about the weather. Ask them anything your heart desires, because now you've got a coupon and no reason not to call them.
Amazing. This is awesome. $147, y'all. 15 minutes with Kourtney. And again, Kourtney goes straight through it. But again, all these other supports and trainings, which I'll call them, and these are included in there. And again, and a $50 coupon also for the certified reader reading is included in package A. That's $147, 2-payment option on that through here on Beyond the Ordinary. So that's available to you. Again, if you want to go deeper, package B is there. Take advantage of that. Oh my God, that is absolutely amazing. If you need more than 2 payments, the email is in the chat box. You can reach out directly to Kourtney and her team, and they'll make arrangements to make sure that it's accessible to you financially as well. So again, the link for these, y'all, is in the chat box. And what an amazing opportunity to be able to offer this to y'all. You know, all of y'all on Beyond the Ordinary and Living in the Extraordinary. And it's just, it feels wonderful to be able to be a conduit for what's available to all of you. So it's wonderful. Thank you, Kourtney, for this offer.
Yeah.
Kourtney, can we do a couple more readings? I know we're running a bit over, but I just want to
Yes.
go.
And I'll tell you all this. I've never had a reader who took angel school who could not tune in for herself or himself. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Never had anybody who it didn't work for, never had anybody who couldn't do it. Okay. Every person who has ever gone through angel school has been able to communicate with their angels and guides on command, on demand. Okay. So put that out of the equation. This is your ticket to be able to communicate through the veil on your terms.
Beautiful. Sarah wrote in and asked a question that I think is really important. Just why is all this a mystery? What do we need to do? Why or what we need to do to get out of our own way? We have to figure it out before we can address it. Again, why is it not so accessible to us? Why is it a mystery? Why isn't it just given to us?
You know what I believe about this? I had a pastor of a church come to me and say, "Would you be willing to speak about the angels at church?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "Why do you think they don't do this?" And I said, "I think there's a lot of fear. I think it's not mainstream. It's becoming, and people are waking up. I mean, you hear the words energy, vibration, vibes. You know, y'all are hearing that on some of the podcasts out there that aren't spiritual. I mean, you're hearing woo woo. I heard woo woo on a commercial the other day. It's cracking me up. But why is it a mystery? Because people have been ridiculed, criticized, condemned, killed, tortured, burned at the stake for talking about spiritual stuff. And I feel like so many people, they don't want the target on their back. They don't want to be so vulnerable. They're still concerned about what other people think and feel. Come on, we all are. We're human. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why this isn't something that's just been blatantly put out there.
Well, and I think also why it's just not given, if you will, if you talk about it spiritually and from our guides, is that we came to experience what it's like not to be the gods of our creation and learning how to become it again in it. And so it's just my awareness of how we're evolving in consciousness, all of us, and why old structures are collapsing around the world all at once is because we have focused too much on giving our authority to other things outside of us so that we can feel comfortable, so that someone give us the answers. You tell me what to do and I'll do it. And into getting, it's like, well, what are you creating? What are you choosing to create? And how are you aware that that's not just creating in your life, but how is that affecting the people that you love around you, who you want to have connection with? And we're being called back home to it. So could all this be given to us and just handed to us? Well, perhaps it was, and that's why the world has been created up to where it's been created to lately. And what if it's saying, okay, no, it's not, we're not just giving you the keys to the car so you can just drive it and run it until it doesn't work anymore. We're going to teach you how to drive the car. We're going to keep you how to maintain it. We're going to keep you an appreciation of the car. We're going to keep you so that the car really works for you and so that you can really utilize it to its full potential. And I really believe that that's the reason why the love is given to us, not in the way that it's being held back, but in the way that we can receive it, siphon it in, and learn how to create with it for the sake of connecting to the graciousness of it, the reverence of it. We can't help but to be in reverence of it when we really learn the source of it. And so there's a lot to unpack in that conversation, but I know you were going to say something else to that, Kourtney.
It's kind of like that reverence, right? It's not just a party trick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is part of the gifts from spirit, right? And I remember stumbling upon it in the Bible of this gift of prophecy, if you want to say that, or speaking in tongues and faith, all those, these are gifts. And so you have to ask for that. And you have to understand that there's also responsibility that goes along with this. And it's one of the reasons why I say the rules of engagement are so important. Because if you get a message like I did years ago about there being a place that catches on fire, I had a horse. Okay, a horse showed me this picture of this building burning, and I could tell it was something official. And the date, I wasn't going to call up the president and say, "Hey, I see that there's an attack somewhere. I don't know where, but there are terrorists." And, I just have the date. Can't tell you what. It actually turned out to be Benghazi. But I had to go back to my rules of engagement and go, okay, wait, I don't necessarily want to know about that because I don't want to be the person running around town saying, hey, this is going to happen or that's going to happen, right? There is an alignment you have to be in. And being able to filter through that and set up those boundaries. And that's what Angel School teaches you, is those rules of engagement. What are you in alignment with? What are the messages you're receiving that you are in alignment with, right? And having that respect, that responsibility, and being able to deliver those messages fluently.
Yeah. And also that love isn't withheld for us to punish us. It's like we're not gonna be put on a bicycle if we can't ride the tricycle first or balance. And so sometimes that gift is just withheld as we're acclimating, because if not, why would love give you something where you're going to wind up hurting yourself?
Yeah.
Intentionally, in a bad way. Like, it's like, no, we're not going to, as much as you want that, acclimate to this other first. Learn how to wield this first. It's learn how to cut with the knife before you go chopping bigger things. And you'll be able to enjoy it more. But again, it's earlier you said the angels will sometimes get in the way, and that's a loving act, not something that's preventing you from receiving a gift that you have. It's a redirection so that we can attune and calibrate so what's available to us to receive. But again, like, I asked for that angel to come in one, not the 10,000s of legions that I was seeing. Me acclimate.
And if you get that, if you're just starting out and you go, okay, I want to do this, and you see, Metatron about to take out the front of your house, like happened to me a few years ago, I promise you will want to turn it off, right? When I heard the music and the voices, what did I do? Oh, I better go see a doctor. I must be crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. And so this mentorship to me is invaluable, because I can talk you through that. It won't be a mystery. It won't be that you're crazy, right?
And the mentorship, Chris or April, again, put the link in the chat box, just so that everybody has access to it again before we end today's call. I want to take another caller. I know we're running a little bit over, Kourtney, but this is so great. And thank you, thank you, thank you. The special offer, again, if you need a bigger payment plan, you can email Kourtney directly. Jamie, put your email in there one more time if you don't mind, so that you can set that up. It's in the chat box a little bit further up. We'll find it also. And there it is. Jamie just put it up. And again, you get the readings of Kourtney in both packages. We've gone through it. You know what's there. But again, I wanted to make it really obvious where you can find it in the chat box. Kourtney, I want to take a call from Mary B, if we could. Hey, Mary. Mary, can I get you to unmute your microphone?
Just sorry.
There you go.
Hi there. Hi, Kourtney.
Hello.
Wow, this has just been wild. I'm sitting here tonight going, yep, nope, yep. I'm there, done that. I'm going, and I said, I don't want to do that. I'm not doing that. And then I'm going, yeah, I am. And it's just hilarious, and I can't thank you enough. I said, I'm not going to do another package. I've got so many. I get every single one of them. And I'm going, well, maybe. So here we are again. Thank you for tonight. I've learned myself recently, with the passing of my husband, to finally allow myself to do what I really want to do. And I didn't realize that I had not really given myself permission to do this for so many years. And all of a sudden, I'm really enjoying myself doing things that I never would have thought that I would want to even do. And sometimes I don't feel like doing anything. And I don't feel badly about that anymore. So I don't know that I have a question. I just basically want to say thank you. Thank you to you for tonight, for reiterating so many things that I'm learning. I did come here for an experience. There's no question in my mind. I'm delighted that the experience keeps changing, and I'm open to it now. So I don't know what else to say other than thank you.
You are so welcome. And I got to tell you, one of the things that Archangel Michael is saying about this is you had to learn how to surrender. Does that make sense to you?
Boy, did I ever. And I did not want to.
Bless you. Well, I don't know if you saw the other people cheering you on as you were saying it. I mean, you definitely got angelic support as well as your own circle here of everybody supporting you. And I'm really,
I'm
really
just so grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. And of course, I'll get your package.
Yeah.
Oh, Mary, amazing.
I love you.
I love you too. Mary's part of the light crew, the Living in the Extraordinary, and a lot of people that are commenting are part of that group, and it's so cohesive. And we've all been growing together over years, so it's just wonderful
Sure
to
have.
have that support with one another. And I'm sending you my love, Mary. It's so good to see you. You look fantastic.
Thank you. And thank you, Kourtney.
You're welcome, beautiful. Thank you for coming on and allowing me to be here.
My pleasure.
So Laura writes, Kourtney helped me with my rules of engagement when I went through angel certification. So that's, yeah, profound. Kourtney, as we're wrapping up tonight's call, I know I'm keeping you long, but thank you so much. So valuable. Oh, wait. Someone is talking. Let me unmute, let me mute them. Well, anyway, the special offers there, y'all. The link's in the chat box. Thank you, Kourtney, for staying on long. And it's, again, we got into the part of the reasons why, and talking to Barbara, it's like, well, how can you not share? What keeps motivating you to like grow and grow and put this out and bring more people in and everything that you do? Because you could have stopped at a certain level going, hey, I'm serving, this is good, I'm living my life, I'm raising my girls, and I'm doing my part. But what keeps you inspired to keep going and going and going?
Okay, so two things. One, if I don't get the message during the day, Archangel Michael will wake me up in the middle of the night. And he has been doing that. He was the whole reason why I created this, because he came through and he was like, you've got to get this out there. People need to know they can do this. They need to be communicating. We need to reach the masses. And after you're awakened at 3 o'clock in the morning, several nights in a row, and you can't go back to sleep, you learn to listen. So that's the first thing that keeps me motivated is our buddy, our pal, Archangel Michael. The other thing is one of my readers said this to me. I was like, look, I've got this opportunity to do this thing, and I just don't know if I want to do it. And I can't get, a clear answer on this. What do y'all think? And they went, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're not doing this for you. And I went, oh yeah. They said, like you've taught us. What are you in alignment with? What is your purpose? You're doing this for others. And that's what keeps me going. There are times, I promise you, I get very, very selfish and I go, no, I'm just going to quit and I'm just going to go be a mom. And I will never deal with another email again or social media post or, a negative comment.
My phone in the ocean all the time. I get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's no longer about me, right? It's about y'all, and y'all knowing that you can communicate with your angels, and knowing that there's a way you can communicate with them, and you will never have to see me again. You will never have to pay another reader because you can get the messages for yourself. And knowing that not only can you, but it's your birthright. I mean, this is everybody's ability to do this. And so making this available to you and me being there to help you to answer your questions, I wish somebody had something like this when I was learning how, because mine was trial and error. And it was, this jumps timelines. I mean, it was a full year, full time before the doubt finally started going away. And with a matter of hours on Angel School, that doubt's eradicated. So it's for y'all. And that's the motivation. When I look at your audience, John, I go, y'all are the ones who are motivating me to do this,
Nice.
to continue to stay in the fight, right? To stay in the love and to keep getting the word out there.
I love that, Kourtney. Thank you. I was having a beautiful conversation with a man today, and he's like, please utilize me. And he's got these amazing gifts of remote viewing and all that. He goes, I don't know how to explain it other than please utilize me. And I hope that doesn't come across the wrong way. And I go, no, it's actually the right way. Thank you for speaking in that way. Please utilize me as well, because if I'm not utilizing these gifts, if I'm not utilizing my light quotient, if I'm not flexing those muscles and putting out, they atrophy. My vitality and my vigor comes from being utilized. And I'm aware that in my prayer of being utilized as well to God, to my guides, to my higher self, that it's invigorating me as well. Again, it just becomes this beautiful mode of creation, because I remember when I walk up off the couch knowing I can't continue this way. If I die tomorrow, I at least know that I took the next step, because where I was sitting wasn't good enough anymore. I knew that I was going backwards in my energy, that I was atrophying rather than living, that to go back and to know that that was as good as life could get at that moment wasn't enough for me of the example that I wanted to be for my daughters or the people that I loved. And so even the choice that I knew that was extremely courageous at the time, and I do give myself credit for that, but I knew that if I know that there's something more to step into, I'm going to keep doing that, because where I sit now, if I know that I'm withholding love, not open to receiving love, which is the essence of all of it, then that's really when I begin to die. Not dying in a form of transitioning, but dying in a way that I'm aware that I'm shutting down my own light, and that to me just wasn't acceptable anymore. Yeah. So I love what you say, Kourtney. I love the way that you explain it. I can so resonate with your reasons why. And I just love the way you show up for all of us. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Yeah.
Love being here.
Amazing call. So amazing. Y'all go deeper with Kourtney. Why wouldn't you? The links are in the chat box. You know where to find us. If you need more payments, you know where to email. If you don't know, email us, and we'll make sure that everything gets taken care of so that you can participate in the way that you're choosing to. So I love all of y'all. Thank you all for being here. It's such an honor, really such an honor to be in your presence. And Kourtney, love you. Thank you.
Wow. Love y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
See y'all on the next call. Bye, everybody.